other trustees or board members have come in, then when I call the roll, so unless you want me to, I don't think we need to call roll again. I got the
I think there's some on the guest. There is a guest sheet. Yep. And RJ, he's here now, so we can. You're actually an alternate, right?
Oh yeah, RJ.
You're an alternate, so you can move up.
You're alternate for Swanee River.
For Swanee River, you're an alternate.
Take the hot seat.
Oh, yep. Yes. You get to move up to the big table.
Big girl now.
She might want to run.
Yeah, no, I want to run away. And the guest, there is a guest sheet running around somewhere.
Over here.
Okay. Is there any housekeeping announcements?
Yes.
Okay, Ron?
Housekeeping announcements. If you've not been here to the restrooms, you have to go outside, not to an outhouse. Right across this hallway, there's a door. You go out there, and 2 restrooms are right there. Or if you feel inclined, you can go on around by the pool, and there's another restroom over there. Okay. Lunch. AGRE has paid for your lunch today, and it'll be ready about noon. It's going to be a buffet set up in the hallway, and then we'll need to bring our food back in here. That's it.
Have a motion to adopt the rules of debate. Terry?
Second.
Second by Michael. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. No, that's on call.
Well,
Have a motion. Yeah. Okay. We have a motion to approve all the minutes from
So moved.
Terry. Second from Amy. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. And then now we're gonna do something a little different. Is Caleb here? Bruce fine? Oh,
Were they approved?
yeah, they approved. Oh, sorry.
So,
I guess I said that wrong. We need to do. Oh, okay. So we'll do Little Rock. So then now we have to correct one thing in the on the special board meeting conference call. I noticed that in Ron, when I read it, it was the convention is not IGRA's responsibility. It is the hosting of so. It is.
I thought it was Salt Lake.
It's Salt Lake.
Yeah.
well, that is this year.
No.
Oh, you
it's always the hosting association.
Unless nobody turns in a bid.
turned in a bid, and then it's
Then IGRA has to pick up.
Okay, so that was the
Yeah, I read that too. I thought that.
no. That's
I
like
thought that's what you said on the call.
no, yeah. So it's not IGRA's responsibility. Just want to make sure that we have that one correction. With that one correction, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Terry. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
I don't see this Caleb yet.
Well, I guess we can move forward. You might be behind your okay. We were supposed to have a seminar right now, but we'll move forward. I guess. I don't have much of a report, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about. I went to the Connect Sports LGBTQ seminar in Portland. They reached out to me a couple months ago. Eric from Compete Magazine reached out. I attended this seminar. I found it very informative, and I want to make sure that Bryson goes to one also. I think that we miss out a lot on people, communities, cities, states. There's a lot of funds out there that we aren't tapping into, and there's a lot of, I know a lot of associations do use these, but there was convention visitor bureaus, people, lots of hotels. This was a great conference, and these people, when I sat there, they came to talk to me about having our events in their cities and what they could give to us. What I found that we were lacking in is the documents that we need to have, and that's the reason I was talking about this information on these proposals and things like that on this document. I was discussed this a little bit with Lisa and stuff like that. You know, these people, when they came to me, they were asking me if we had this, you know, this proposal, and more or less it just gives all your demographics, you know, everything. Like if we're talking about, you know, the World Gay Finals and stuff like that, we'd be handing this, and these people work for us. I found through this that, like, the state of Texas will give you up to like $200,000 in these special funds if you bring an event to Texas. So in talking to like the baseball or whatever, and all these women, all these connections that I made at this Connect deal, I thought was really valuable to IGRA. And what they told me is whenever they took the softball, you know, finals to Austin, they got $200,000. The least we would get is like 50. It can be 50. You know, I was talking to them, and Angela and Karen, all these people that had worked on this before, were so nice, saying, "Oh, I'll help you fill everything out." And your convention visitors bureau person, they help you fill it out. They help you do all the right things. And there was even a person we were talking about, you know, for Swanee River. It was kind of funny. They were talking about all these millions of dollars that they have in Fort Lauderdale to give out. So, you know, we're talking about, we used to have one of the greatest rodeos, you know, in Fort Lauderdale, and they have all these funds. And this, when they had these recent events, they were talking about what the gay community, you know, they brought back. It was like they were showing the sales where they had that event was like close to $1 billion, you know. So this means a lot to the LGBTQ, I gotta get all these letters in there, community. You have to get all that in there. Anyway, what I want everybody to get from this, and I will forward a lot of these documents that I had, is to use these people. And met the guy from Dallas, Joe Almeyer. He, you know, said, "Yeah, you know, I'll make sure that you have all the support." And so they connect you with all the right people where you get all the funds that you can get. I downloaded this Texas Trust Fund application, shared it with our finals committee now because of what you'll find. We'll talk about that later. But what I wanted everybody to take from this is that there's lots of funds out there that I don't think everybody taps into that are available. So get with your Convention Visitor Bureau person where these rodeos are being held or whatever, and ask them these questions, because I think you might find out that there's a lot of help out there, and they want us in their communities for these extra dollars. It was kind of like this, you know, when we talked about Scottsdale before or whatever. That's what they have to use some diversity dollars. They have to you know, there's funds out there that we need to tap into. Other than that, I just want to say that I look to all of you for help and guidance. Wow, after the November meeting, I took quite a few hits. You know, and I think I told everybody that at the convention, that, you know, I was asked to come up with Plan B, and because we didn't have all the answers for Plan A, we all chose Plan B. And we all chose Plan B as a group. But I took a lot of hits. And you know what? I'm a pretty tough girl. But the continued negativity out there, even as of today or yesterday, and concerns with me, lots of things, and I look to my board for support to make IGRA what we want it to be. Guys, you here's how I look at it. When I read the post, or I read an email, or I hear something that's said about me, I think about, does that person really, are they really instrumental in IGRA? Have they done a lot for IGRA? Do they currently do something for IGRA? Right? Look at everybody in this room. We care, right? We take time out of our work, our day, our lives, and we come and we contribute and we want to make IGRA great, right? That's the people I care about, and that's the people that are important. And so I ask you as a board that when your members keep throwing out the negativity, that maybe that you address it to help that. Really, I'm asking you for help, because that doesn't get us anywhere, and those kind of posts and that continued negativity, we're not going anywhere. So I'm asking for your help here, because I think we can do a lot of great things and have a lot of fun rodeos, fundraisers, do a lot of great things for both IGRA and charities, but we really got to do it together. So go ahead, Michael.
Along those same lines, I saw the post and I saw people, responding back to people. You need to be in contact with your trustee. Your trustee is your voice at the board level. Mm-hmm. And so I'm seeing, I've been around for a long time, and I've even helped behind the scenes putting rodeos together and what have you, seeing the cost and the amount of work involved. There are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that these contestants have no visibility to. So sometimes I think they're speaking just from what they see and they're not well informed. And so if the associations can go back to all of our associations and say, if you got questions or concerns, speak up. If you've got an idea, bring it, let's walk through it, but just don't assume that you've got all the facts. There was a lot of work that went into putting Scottsdale together. There was a lot of last minute work done to put in Plan B. And I think a number of people pointed out to the people that were being very vocal that the entire board voted to make that move. That move was not done by one person. It was done by the organization as a whole for what was in the best interest of IGRA. What's in the best interest of IGRA is not necessarily what is most convenient for me, but it's not about me. I'll leave it at that.
Yep, I appreciate that. And I certainly don't, I'm not saying, I don't mind people's posts. I'm just asking, just like what Michael said, to please inform them of the correct information. Everybody can, I'm never against anybody's post or whatever. I told you, I got thick skin. I'm just hoping that everybody makes sure that they inform them of the correct information. And if it's highly negative that hurts us, IGRA, please, help out there. Mary, you got a report?
Oh, well, you don't have to, but. Hey, everyone. So
have an official report either, but I want to make some comments kind of along with what Candy's saying, because I've experienced similar, not the same type of things, but one thing that concerns me is, what is iJury's official means of communication? Is it Facebook? It's not supposed to be, from as far as I know, and we're not all on Facebook. But just recently, to show you what's happening, and as secretary, then I hear stuff, I don't know it, and then people bitch because it's not out there where it's supposed to be, and it gets tiring, it gets frustrating, and it's getting to the point that some of these people are starting to drive others of us away. And if that's what we want, continue going down the same path. But recently, there was something on Facebook. Again, I didn't see it because I'm not on Facebook, but people were saying GPRA had folded. There was no association. They have not folded. And that's where we run into problems. Stuff like that getting started. And it just really bothers me. So I wish we could determine what is and who is supposed to, how the communication line. Somebody hears one thing, somebody else gets something else, and then what do we have? Also, a problem that I run into constantly, and I would challenge any one of you to take this secretary position for even one day and see what it's like.
Thanks.
No.
When I sit down, and I don't mean to sound like this is a complaint, but it really is a concern, and it creates a difficult task for me. When I send out something saying, okay, our meeting is this date, this time, and if you have a report, please send it to me. And then I get the report this morning or last night. I'm not home. I can't get those reports to you. And we all know when the meetings are, and if we want to be part of the board and share, why not, be timely, as Candy had said, with everything. But that's pretty much it.
I don't have a formal report. The financials through December are posted. I'm still working on January. As of today, no association owes IGRA.
However, give him 15 minutes and the insurance will pop up. Right, before you leave. That's great. Okay, Chuck?
I don't have an official report, Ron. I'll send it to you shortly. I'm just kidding.
Do it on Facebook.
Yeah, there
You'll
be right on that.
It's on Twitter.
There we go. Well, we'll get them there eventually too. Just a recap of what the trustees and the chairs and vice chairs have been up to. We've been trying to establish communication and make sure we have everybody's correct emails. Kind of determining what our culture and structure is as far as how we as the vice chairs and chairs are going to handle rodeos and auditing rodeo websites to make sure that everybody has what we need to and keep everything as far as trying to standardize that information and make sure everybody has the same thing. It's being done in an effort to help and to assist. It's not being done in any effort to find fault with or ridicule or point the finger at, but we just want to start looking at the rodeo websites probably 100 days in advance of the rodeo to see that they're in compliance with everything that should be published at least 90 days, et cetera, et cetera. So I did that with Ron, but we were already behind because I really didn't take my role until January. But I did send that to Ron, and he was very appreciative of that. And there's some other things that we probably want to look at to make sure, again, we're consistent with that. So other than that, we're looking at some things in our meeting that we need to address, and I appreciate everybody's response. We're trying to be ahead of the game and get attendance of where people are going to be at rodeos for the year, rather than kind of wait last minute or anything like that, so we can get commitments and try to get everybody involved in the checklist process and the review process. That's all I have.
We still have it.
No,
That's pretty odd. Okay. Well, we have a
I have his office number, but he's not there in Texas, so I don't have his cell number.
Or did Tommy have a report?
Okay.
And then
Tommy was trying to be here and could not get here. Likewise.
And then Ed Berry sent one this morning.
Ed sent one this morning, I can read it.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
If you want, I got it, but if you got it there, go ahead, sure.
Corporate report for corporate auditor report for the winter meeting at Phoenix, February 16, 2018. The report covering October through December 2017, 3 months review. Prior report to the period 9/30 of 17, reviewed October through December 17, had full access to the booklet and records and related reconciliations of IGRA. He reviewed October through December bank reconciliations. They reconciled and agreed to the general ledger. He reviewed the income statement and balance sheet for both months, which include a comparison to the prior year. The income and the balance sheet agree to the income on the income statement, and the retained earnings rolled forward appropriately. The income statement looked reasonable when compared to the activity of the prior year and activity observed in the general ledger. He reviewed the general ledger for deposit and cash expense transactions from October through December. There were 251 line items of deposits and expenditures. Some deposits expenditures cover multiple line items of detail. Using a random generator found at random.org, he ran a sample of 10% of the deposits and expenditures rolled up to 25 in the review period. All of the deposits examined to the general ledger, tied to the general ledger, as did all transactions for the expenditures in the sample of 25. So all the deposits and expenditures appear to be properly supported, either by receipt or fees found on the bank statement. All expenditures receipts support conforms to the IRS publication 463 rules on receipt limits. Additional work performed. Had multiple conversations, email and live, with the treasurer regarding if the former president signed any checks. He did not. Reminder, I asked about other spending mechanisms available to him, and he had access to a debit card after failing to get required receipts and no response from our former president. To our treasurer's emails, calls, and texts for the required supporting documents, our treasurer rightly immediately canceled all former president's access to the IGRA debit card. He examined another 10 transactions in addition to the original sample. Any transaction that contained Gross or Bruce in any part of the description. Of the 10, some credits were obtained. The net effect is $388.40 in expenses related to Bruce. The transactions are merely a spillover due to the cutoff dates, meaning that they were not new when reported previously. Only one was over $100, the rest were $25, and David received a refund of $394.40 on a prepaid hotel. The risk of those transactions in an IRS audit situation are extremely small to IGRA. Reminder, none of the unsupported expenses, whether potentially legitimate or not, were the result of our treasurer cutting a check without support. They were all debit card indicated. I'm able to report to the IGRA board that nothing out of the ordinary was noted for any other transactions or person in the sample of IGRA transaction other than those noted above. He wanted to thank me. Please note that the internal review audit, as
Frank Carroll's home in Castle Rock, Colorado. Patrick Terry, I want to thank him for boxing everything up. There's 22 boxes of various size, plastic containers of various sizes at Frank's. In the report, it says that Frank is willing to store that in a storage with his furniture, but he's finding he's decided to keep more furniture than he had planned, and at this point I'm planning to go up to Colorado again and pick up the remaining archives and get them back to Las Vegas the last week of February, first week of March. And one other thing, I don't know who to talk to about this, but I hope that I can get an IGRA archives email address. Other than that, the items in red in here might need some consideration for vote or funding. I think I requested a budget of $750 for the remainder of this year, which would pay for a climate-controlled storage unit, 5 by 10 in the Las Vegas area, and possibly needing a table for that storage area and maybe minimal shelving, and purchase of some filing folders, etc. Any questions? I have one question for David. Over the past year, some items were stored in the CGRA shared trailer with everything that I think everything of IGRA's is out of there now. I picked up 5 boxes from there at Thanksgiving. Are we on a monthly basis with paying for that, or was it a one-time yearly
It's an annual payment, and the payment was made before we moved everything out.
Okay.
So we've got space available for another year, and then we've got to cancel it.
Okay. When I took out the 5 boxes, the shelves in that storage container were pretty full. So if we were to put anything in there, it would pretty much be placed in what is currently a walkway. And it would all have to be moved outside when CGRA is ready to do their rodeo, and then put back in again, and then moved out again when they want to get their stuff back into the trailer. So I recommend that it all be moved to Las Vegas, and that's my plan if you do vote to approve for the storage area.
So we have an action, he is requesting $750 budget. Do we have a motion to?
So moved.
Oh, they're fast on that one. Let's do Amy and Terry. You're pretty quick though. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes. Your budget is there.
Good, thank you very much.
Oh, wait a minute. Lisa has a question now.
What was that?
Lisa has a question now.
Well, earlier or last year, year before, there were some things that Tom and Frank wanted to some help on, scanning and things like that. So where do we stand on that as far as?
The majority of the rodeo programs have been scanned. Some from 2017 were just delivered out to Frank's house. I don't think he's had time to deal with any scanning on that yet. For the rodeo programs as they come in the future, we will work on, Frank's plan is to be traveling around to the various rodeos, so he may be able to pick up a program when he's there, and then as he has time, he can scan it. We'll try to get other programs directly to the archives so that if he gets it scanned, he doesn't need to worry about getting it to us. But so Frank's, I believe, still planning to scan rodeo programs as possible. There's many other miscellaneous items that Frank and Tom did not have time to catalog and itemize and photograph. My intent is to begin doing that, although that isn't going to happen until after March because I'm not going to miss my 5 weeks in Mexico. But we will be ongoing with getting that updated stated, as I have time, I will pull a box at a time over to my house, catalog what's there, file it, and get a photo for it.
I didn't know if you needed help or what.
I always use help, but that's the problem was it was Castle Rock is right in Denver, so it was very difficult for anybody from there to help. I might look at some NGRA people and see if they might be able to give me some help on an occasion. But the plan is to start moving forward with it. One other thing in here that I have highlighted in red, and that is the woman that sent the belt buckles, and I have 6 belt buckles here that NGRA received from the National Reno Gay Rodeo in 1981, 82, 83, and 84. They're not fancy, but they're historic. If the National Reno Gay Rodeo had never existed, it's hard to say if there would be an IGRA today. And I will put those out on a table over here in an open space if anybody wants to look at them during the break. I would like IGRA to send a thank you letter to the woman that sent them. I have her address, and I think it would be nice to send her an acknowledgement of her gift so that if she wanted to itemize her deductions on taxes, she'll have a statement from us.
Absolutely, thank you. Amy, I think I skipped you.
That's okay. So my report, short and sweet. The deadline for new nominations is March 1st, and as most of you will probably remember, at convention in November, I challenged each association to make an effort to submit 1 or more nominations, and sadly the response has been thoroughly underwhelming. I have received 6 or 7 new nominations, which may be duplicative, I'm not at liberty to say, but the deadline is rapidly approaching. So if anybody has any ideas, you know, you don't need to write an essay on the form. We'll do the work, but get the nominations in if you want your people to be considered for induction in 2018.
WGRF 2018, Lisa? Boogie, whoever's. Who all wants to, you might want this
Boogie, you got
update on the 2018?
Yes, there is actually some, and please forgive me my tardiness. I've been up this morning trying to deal with some matters for this 2018. Just real quick, I want to recap the committee for WGRF. You know, Lisa is the chair, myself, Mac McMillan is the first assistant, Charles Hancock's the second assistant, Robin Cagle's third assistant. Rodeo Director at Large is Wade Earp. Committee members as followed: Mark Christensen, Chris Fairbrother, R.J. Michaels, Sammy Simpkin, Patrick Terry. I believe Gary Parker came back. Is that correct, Lisa? That Gary Parker said yes. Yeah. The past week, we had actually put out, and this will probably be coming to the board, we're securing our officials. We voted on the black shirts, and the votes fell in this way. Judges, Jack, Tom, Amy, Rick, arena coordinator, Jeannie, shoot coordinator, Denise, auditor, Bruce, secretary, Ron, scorekeeper, Ed, arena coordinator, Cammie, and okay, and then the announcer, David Smith. So I guess as majority of everybody knows, we had a small small hiccup in the Diamond T Arena. Without going into too much detail, the owner had fell sick, and the siblings has decided to sell the facility. Unfortunately, they did cancel every event as of last weekend through December. Not only does that put a burden on finals, that obviously puts a burden on Texas, which we're 6 weeks out for that rodeo. We are working very hard to get some new locations for finals. We've got a couple that we've already believe have a few bids on. I'm still working on another 2 bids there locally. Not sure we want to go into all the details now on that, or you want to move that to later. Now, keep in mind, obviously I'm still working. I've been on phone calls this morning, trying to lock down some more numbers. I could present what we have, or we could, table it, for whatever the board seems fit.
Okay, so, Boogie, we'll probably want to get rid of the elephant in the room there. As Boogie talked about, this was very untimely, unseen, really couldn't do anything about it. I think, Texas is one thing on their own, y'all are working on that. Does everybody want to listen to all the, what we have right now, in regards to options and what we're working on, or Michael?
Yeah, I know you're negotiating, and sometimes negotiations can be sensitive, and so I would imagine there's probably some details that it's best that are not shared too broadly, just to protect your negotiating stance, because I don't want something to be said that's going to suddenly make your favorite space become more expensive because we leaked out that that was our favorite space. So, I'd like a 10,000 foot view, but I don't want the weeds to protect your negotiating capability and to protect us financially.
Okay, that's a very good idea. So why don't we, is everybody okay with tabling it, letting Boogie finish out, and then they'll propose all our options? Is everybody okay with that? Michael?
What kind of time frame are we looking at? Because
I would say we're only talking about a few days, less than a week.
Okay.
That is correct.
So we'll probably have to call a special conference call pretty quick after Boogie gets everything. We'll have all the documents attached where everybody can look at it. This might be a appropriate time for Sam, and I don't know if Chuck was on it, whatever. Last year we tabled, Sam's part of the finals committee, so this might be an appropriate time for this to be spoken about. Last year we tabled or changed our venue on Scottsdale because we had a lot of unanswered questions. So because Sam was boots on ground and part of the finals committee, I asked him to go meet with Carter and get all that answered. Because we talked about finals in Scottsdale in 2019. So is everybody okay with listening to a quick little report about that, or did you want that later on, or how did you want that to go?
I say we do it now.
Okay.
And at least it gets proposed out there.
Okay.
You can see what it is.
Okay, is that all right? Go ahead.
I'll preface that with one comment. When we discussed had the conference call moving from Scottsdale to Denton.
Yes.
And you talked about the costs and all made the right business decision to move it there.
Yes.
The one piece of very pertinent information that maybe I missed it, but I didn't see, was that Diamond T was up for sale. So there's no cancellation, no force majeure in the contract. was up for sale when we made that decision. So I would ask that any discussions on future sites and proposals be inclusive and not omissive of any information that could be so pertinent to the decision-making process.
Okay. And at the time, I didn't know that it was for sale.
Okay, all due respect, Madam President, when we had a conversation yesterday, or the day before, you said we knew it was for sale when we made that decision. When you and I talked on the phone.
Sorry if I misspoke or whatever.
Okay, well, and
No,
that may be, but if we did know, that should have been information that was a part of that decision.
Okay, I don't. It sold a couple of times or whatever. I think maybe I misspoke as far as.
And it could be. Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all due respect. I mean,
I don't think.
I just, if we had any foresight that was, if it was for sale or that it was going to be for sale, my understanding was, and that's where my concern comes from, my understanding was that it was a kind of a last minute thing once he died, but we need to have protection in our contracts of cancellation, of force majeure, and acts of God, and shame on us for not making sure that was in there. Because there's going to be additional costs to move it.
One last item. I'm not sure who controls all the email addresses for IGRA, but if I could get the sponsorship email address to go to Laura Scott, that'd be great.
That's what they're asking for one. Right, go ahead.
Currently, there are only 2 addresses on the IGRA website. Everything else is using a personal address or one that's the person is specifically set up. The reason I've tried to work away from using IGRA addresses is because if you set one up and starts getting spam, the next person who takes over that position is stuck with the previous person's junk. So what I try to do is you set up a specific address on Google or AOL or something like that, and we use that one to contact you. And when you're finished with your job, or whatever that may be, then that will be thrown away and the next person can create their own. So there are only 2 addresses right now that are connected to IGRA. There's David Hill and the admin assistant. So,
okay, then I'll just take it offline and we'll talk about this. The other item, I believe Ron had a copy of the sponsorship packet that was emailed to you.
That's on the agenda under new business. And I sent out to everybody. I don't know if you want to take that now. They did go out to everybody. The sponsorship package that Laura took care of for final.
Sure, I think we skipped Sam talking about.
So we're ready for that?
Yeah, and then we'll do the sponsorship package.
And then, Boogie, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The judges, everything's been elected. Can you double check your email and make sure I'm on it? Because I haven't received any information on finals since, I think, convention, other than Lisa contacted me one time.
We're working on communication.
Okay. I thought maybe as a stepchild you guys just kicked me out.
Communication seems to be the key for everything.
Go ahead, Jack.
Before he does his thing, can I just make a comment?
Sure.
You know, when we had the doubt about the grant money for Westworld,
Yes.
We had a special meeting, we had a discussion. It was talked about how important it was that we find a resolution to that doubt. There was timeliness because we have finals coming up. You know, we're 3 months advanced now. We have finals in 8 months. I was involved in communication where Carter from Westworld basically told us that if he needed to write a check to us for $15,000 to show us that we would get that grant money, and once we were done, anything we didn't get, he would allow us to keep that money. You know, we're 8 months away. Okay, are we going to open this again, allow other bids, go through the whole process and delay it again? Is Scottsdale, Westworld?
Lisa?
All I was gonna say is I think we need to look at a lot of whatever has been offered besides Scottsdale.
With them all, and that's what we were saying we didn't want.
Right.
He's negotiating on some places,
Yeah.
so he's not finished, so that we didn't want the information to leave the room on what he's currently working on. Is that what you're?
That's correct. I mean, I've only been working on this on a week. I mean, so we got several other areas working on. So we're still trying to pull that data. I mean, I can tell you the venues, but I don't want to go into detail like he said. That way, we're not putting it out on the street, and then we're behind the 8 ball.
Okay. All right. So everybody, I'm getting the deal about weight. So if we, how about you put your deal in a report and a proposal. You'll need to ask, one thing we have to do is ask Carter if that date is available, right?
It is.
Okay, then, all right. So we'll need to put that, you got it all like in a report, so it'll be a proposal with the other, what do you have, 3?
3.
Other 3 proposals, and then we go ahead and set a date for this special meeting. So, Jeff?
So I just have a question for clarification. I thought Sam was going to give us a report out just now on questions that you asked him to go get answered on why things fell apart a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And that was where that discussion was going to stop.
Okay.
There's also a bid. I agree that the bid needs to be part of what Hoagie's putting together for any and all locations if we're going to decide on it together. So am I incorrect in my understanding of what was just happening?
Okay, it's a little of both to answer what you're saying. So the questions we had are put out there, so there is an Excel that shows, because that's what most of the questions are financial when it came down to it.
Yeah.
Additional charges, all that kind of stuff. So that's put in there. There's also little pictures of what the venue looks like and that kind of stuff, which I guess would be more of a proposal type of thing. So that's what I have prepared as a PowerPoint to just look at Scottsdale.
So I would recommend that if we are supposed to be hearing answers to why things fell apart, that definitely be presented to us so that we as a board have that information going into bid discussions, but that we not discuss the bid. And if that needs to all go to the bid, then let's talk about it in the bid.
Without going into detail, can we hear the 5 potential locations or cities?
4.
Before.
4.
No, you got more.
Oh, 5. Yeah. So.
The ones that I'm aware of are Oklahoma, Albuquerque, Scottsdale, and Mesquite. Those are the 4 that I know about as of this morning.
Thank you.
I have a real concern that if we're gonna hear any type of proposal today, we don't have anything to look at in writing. I think we're gonna be right back where we were when we looked at Scottsdale, and we had all the questions, and then everybody got confused, and until we have it in writing for everybody to look at all of them at the same time for comparison, seems we're wasting time to me. And it's not fair that we don't see it to know what we're talking about.
Jack?
I agree, Ron, and I think that we also, based on at least the feedback I got from our association when we made the last discussion, is that in all fairness, we should probably put it out to our associations if anybody has an interest. That way no one can come back to this board and say, oh, well, I didn't know, or hey, we would have wanted to. So I think it creates transparency for us, you know, number one. And number two, I guess I would make a motion that we table this until we have all the bids together, and at whatever time in a week or 10 days, I know it doesn't help because it prolongs it even more, but in 10 days we can have a special call and discuss all of the relevant information of all the relevant bids, and everybody's been communicated this is what we're doing, so it doesn't appear like it's, not that it was, but what the perception out there was that it was a backward review.
Okay.
Yes, I made a motion.
Second.
Terry, second.
was there a date attached to it?
He just said
No.
10 days. He would just, and that's what we were gonna ask Ron to give us a date. You want 10 days, a week or 10 days, what is that?
I have to give 7 days notice, so we can set a date once this motion passes.
Okay.
It's really out of order to set a date before the motion passes.
Unless the date is more than 7 days, so if it's March 1st.
It can be more than, but, yeah.
So do we have a realistic time frame that you're thinking of? Is
I think
10
it needs
days?
to be as soon as possible. I think I just think we need to have a couple days to get out to our association and say, hey, if anybody's interested, number one, that way no one can come back and say, well, we didn't know. And then number two is that however long it takes to get the bids together, whether it's Albuquerque or Oklahoma or Scottsdale or Mesquite, so that everybody has a fair chance to say, this is what we're voting against, apples against apples. So I think, but I agree, it needs to be sooner than later because
Yep.
the clock's ticking.
We're kind of there. And for sponsorships and everything, that's where the trouble is going to
Absolutely, I
We're gonna
agree
get hit.
wholeheartedly. I just don't want us to have the same questions as we did last time, that people are like, oh, what happened? I just want people to be, you know, hey, there was 4 bids, here was all the information, and based on that.
Michael?
Question then, is your motion set, it gives every association an opportunity to go out and solicit or get bids and submit bids for finals?
Within the next 48 hours.
No, it's not the motion, it's, can you read back?
Yeah, the motion is that this be tabled until we have all bids and then schedule a special board meeting conference call. His suggestion was then to get the information out to associations. That's not part of the motion.
Okay.
It wasn't to ask for anything. That's
Okay.
the simple motion there.
Okay.
So all we gotta do is vote on the motion, pass it, and then we get the date set for the call, and everybody's got to be, communicate.
Lisa?
I'd like to clarify what we're getting bids on, the venue and the hotel, or the venue alone? Because those are your two major factors, is your venue and
Both.
no,
We will.
because if you can get a venue but you can't get the hotel, then hello.
If the intent is to open the bidding process broadly, beyond the 2 people that seem to be working actively on bids currently, then I think we need 2 deadlines. We need one for when bids must be completed and submitted for review, and 2, the date of the meeting at which the discussion and decision is intended to be made. And I'm hoping those are not going to be the same day, considering if you take it literally, people may want to put in a bid at midnight when the call took place at 7 o'clock. So is that the intent or where we're going? We want to offer the opportunity for completed bids to be put forward and then have a meeting to discuss them. I think it's going to have to be 2 different dates.
Need time to review.
Because we got to get it, and then we're going to, once again, another reason nobody wants Ron's job. He's got to then flip those bids out to the people who are going to be reviewing them for, God help us, at least some period of time. Hopefully it's 24 hours. And then a call to discuss and decide.
But we can still, but that comes after the motion, because the motion is still, we're gonna put this off, rather than decide here today.
Exactly.
So after the motion, then we can decide those 2 dates if it passes, because it may not even pass, and then we would have to decide now.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the usual question is it being opened up to anybody who can put a bid in at this point, or is it just for the bids that they spoke about right here?
That was not his motion. His motion didn't say that.
His motion is just to table the decision of the 2018 finals for 7 days.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so any more discussion on that motion, then we'll go forward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, so now, so we know about the 4. If you're in, I can forward you that recent, bid that I told you about, if you need that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it out to this, I don't think it's Arcus, Colorado is at all, I don't
Okay.
think.
No, but I have that, if you want that, I'll forward you that email.
No, no.
The elephant in the room is that, a potential about the National Western or whatever, because someone had, Liz had forwarded, it was Quinn G.
Yeah, G.
He had forwarded a bid from the National, Western or whatever, and there was a little bit of misinformation or whatever, because everything was, but I can forward it to you if y'all are interested.
Thank you, I'm not at this point, but thank you.
Okay. So I think we're gonna go back.
I think there's enough good options out there.
We're gonna go right back to like the 4, but I just was letting him know if that's what he was needing, there was a bid that, yeah. Chuck?
Do we know if any other association is interested in submitting a bid for 5?
That's what I'm saying. Does anybody else besides the list?
Little Rock might submit something.
You go, girl.
Well, hey, why
You
not?
gotta go by yourself, girl.
Well, I guess that answered that one.
Lisa,
Happy wife, happy life. Would you like to rethink that answer?
I think you might be single when you leave the room.
That was important.
That was good. Okay, so, all right. So now can we, is everybody all right with the 26th, which is a Monday? Is that okay?
What time?
In the evening, well, I mean, we'll set it.
7 p.m. Arizona time.
We'll set it where it's.
Can we do any other
I missed what
that
the
Monday
time was.
evening?
Do
What time?
Well, we're gonna do the date, and then we'll make sure that everybody's on the right time zone. Is that okay? That's 7 days from this coming Monday.
Can we do, is there any other option other than Monday evening?
Tuesday. A Tuesday? Is Tuesday okay? Is that better for everybody on Tuesday? The 27th?
Yes.
Yep.
Anyone?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Jack.
so if that, is that call, so to Mike's point now, do we need 2 dates? One that says, especially if Little Rock is interested, that this is when you have to have your proposal, and if you're interested, and then here's the date of the call. I think that information is pertinent now.
Okay, that's what we were asking. Any other association? So, Lisa, go ahead.
To me, I think you can get a bid in, or, if I go back to Little Rock, I can have one done today. And I can have a hotel today. I think we ought to say to get your bids in by next Friday or whenever, and then have your meeting. We got to have time to review them.
Yeah.
You can't just send them and have the meeting all at the same night.
And I have the contact of the lady from Scottsdale that I will forward if you want to talk to. That was at the Marriott. I have that.
I
You have
think
that
I
too?
have her information.
Okay, so you just have to contact her, and so that information. I mean, he's got that to see about the hotel at Scottsdale. So is having it in by next Thursday to give Ron a few days to get to us, so we can look through it all the weekend and Monday. Is that okay?
I got a question. Is there a deadline we have to get back to Westworld?
There's not a deadline other than there's the risk of losing the date. Right now, that date is open.
So the sooner we answer them, the better.
Right.
So that's the reason we're only talking about a week or 10 days away or something. So in that time frame, we can talk to everybody. And is that all right, Boogie? That work with everyone? The 27th? Oh.
stands right now, it has to be in by the 22nd. Is that the date? So
We're gonna,
If that's what you're saying, so we can get it sent out for our people to have time to review.
Okay. And who does it have to be sent to? Just to you?
Send to me, I'll send it out to everybody else to the.
Very good.
Board.
okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute recess.
Yeah, I know, man.
I knew today. That's what I was He said he needs 3 of us.
Yes.
Ah!
I'm just letting you know.
Oh, I didn't realize it was right at my foot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
I gotta find out.
Maybe sometime I could use your hands.
I'm not.
Yeah. For about 1 or 2 more hours.
Is not going to get finished this year. It was a tremendous day concern. So now you're going to put out a request for award.
Oh, no, she did she tell you?
I'm going to check his email. Literally, I know that you literally, I'm going to remember on the page and make sure you know what kind of thing. Yes.
People are silent because they no matter what, no matter what,
Assuming is diagnosing, it's going to be a world of loss, right?
I'm almost as low as you. Never.
No. I'm drinking soda today, so I'm gaining weight.
Are they still, we're going to have to go stand.
No, I didn't know you had this is clear.
I plug my phone before to get out. Right. Like in an airport. Yeah, 30 minutes. You know, you're like, wait a minute, it's less
I think the date is over on this Sunday. And someone would have, some have his name on it. Yeah, they are. This one just says Colorado. Someone could have his name.
How are you? Just that we know you do
They have out of every. They're back in the 70s.
They started in 76.
No, I
They're got a more simple look as a program. Clark is here this weekend. I'm a member of our association. So obviously more.
cool. That's a real bucket.
And it says that's really strange.
Okay, so hi, how are you, baby? Double nickel this year.
have a long line of Cherokee too, so.
Never been there, so.
Oh, I thought you were not trying to leave that.
So that's why it still works. If you make
That's exactly opposite. You did? Michael, when we were in South Point and Amy saw King 5 on the menu, what was your favorite? You ready? 1, 2, 3. Do you remember that? See it again. We had it 2 weeks ago at my house. A 96 and 98 campus.
What's the date?
Yes.
It was definitely
Right, dinner. Oh, really?
I'm not a boy.
Oh, here we go.
Now the old man can't get it till Tuesday. So we did it from Thursday through Monday or something?
Yeah.
What's the youth?
Yeah. I'm gonna look up because I have it on the spreadsheet.
Okay, I'm gonna email her.
Oh, so
Oh, the gallery.
What was the youth that came later in the second? Tell us story about
I heard you.
and Monday the 29th.
I'll be there. 7 o'clock, because I don't have no brain stuff.
Hollow heads are over here.
Yes. Hot heads.
Well, I don't know how.
Always.
Thing involved with security.
Just saying hey.
Just saying. Is he feeling better? Good.
It's kind of wet.
You were kind of raspy on the car.
right, we're gonna call the meeting back to order. Mary wants to make one comment about the people doing the finals bids.
Okay, so for finals, I know Rodeo Hotels, the arena, just please when you're doing your bids, make sure that there's a place that we can have a royalty contest. It's a big deal. We're talking either like an arena, a close by hotel. I really would prefer not to have a bar, just so family, friends can attend. So will you please keep that in consideration for your bids, or any bids that are put in?
Question for you. What are the days that you need that? Like, is it Friday night? Is it Saturday night? Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night?
It's going to be hard to know quite yet, but mostly Friday night, Saturday night.
Those are the two big ones.
Because, and the problem is it's going to depend on how many contestants actually enter. So if we have 20 contestants, it's going to have to be like a Thursday night, Friday night deal. It's going to have to be a 2-night. If it's the actual competition, if it's, you know, if we have 10 people, then we can do it in one night, and then the Saturday night would be the announcements and step downs.
I think that's what we did this year.
Yeah, we did it all. The problem with doing it all in one night with so many people is it goes from, you know, 8 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning, and people can't stay, and you know, they got to compete the next day. So just, can everybody please keep that in mind when you're submitting your bids, please?
I think we want to move to royalty next because they had things that they needed to get to. So,
royalty, guys.
So as Mary had said earlier in her report, we've gone out with big blast this year so far, which I'm really proud of this group so far. They're phenomenal and are working really hard. For the folks in Arizona, we will be at the next 3 rodeos. So we will be here, we will be in Texas, and we will be in Palm Springs. We have 3 other fundraisers coming up. We have one coming up this weekend. We have one coming up on St. Patrick's Day, as well as one in April. And then we will be attending our local coronation in May this year. Again, these folks have been doing a phenomenal job, and if you ask for anything, we will gladly help you out in whatever we can do for you folks. So thank you.
Is that all you guys got?
That's all we got.
The only other thing I want to say for Christopher Webb and David, they got the fees all resolved with Adam's help. So the fee is in the system now as $30 an event, so everything should flow much smoother.
But tonight you'll pay us an extra $10 per event where you pre-registered already.
Exactly. So yeah.
Except
so it'll be resolved at least in the system. It's correct. So that's all any other committee reports go ahead.
Can I interrupt on just a point of clarification?
Yeah.
I thought Sam came up here to give a presentation about Westworld for potentially us to decide for 2019, but he came up here to give that presentation. Is that not on the agenda, or?
No. Well, now we're
for 2019, not 18.
I know, but we're now moved it to a possibility for 2018. So.
But he came up here to present his information. He's been working with Westworld for potentially a 2019. Is that not being considered?
Go ahead, Sam.
Yes. You want me to present it, or?
Sure.
Is that?
For 2019? But, so then that...
Yeah, no, that's why I originally came here with, I thought we were going to stuff.
We recently came here for being the Red River trustee. So let's clarify that right now.
See, I am the stepchild. No, I thought that at this meeting, we were gonna take proposals for 2019 to look at, so people could present. Not necessarily voted in, or maybe we did vote in, we voted in, I don't know, but don't we do that a year in advance?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And I think that then all of a sudden, a while ago, you came up with the thought that if it was available for 2018, we would do it. We were given the proposal for 2018, so it could be 2018 or 19.
Correct.
So.
Yeah. I'm saying that.
And that's the only reason then we said everybody was going to get that 3 or 4 days. All those were going to be for all of us to look at, and then we would decide. Now, if anybody, is there any opposition for Sam just going ahead and giving his report on what he was asked to get on Scottsdale, or what do we want to do here?
If he wants to present for 2019, that's fine. But we won't look at we won't take that in consideration until we get the formal in for 2018. That makes sense?
Well, nobody's going to, okay, I think the only problem with Sam is that it needed to be sent where everybody can look at it.
Okay.
Unless the only thing is if you can get it on the screen, can you plug in and get.
He can get it. He can get it on the screen.
Yeah, you want to do that? Oh, you got it?
No, that's something else.
There we go. Okay, this your PowerPoint?
That's
Okay.
my first page.
Okay. Oh, now you changed it to 2018.
Well, yeah, no. It says it was selected for 2018.
Okay, excuse me. Go ahead. All right, Sam, would you present, please?
Okay, and let me say that Scottsdale really wants us there for the diversity reason. And they have tried everything. I mean, we've all gone rounds with them, and they have tried everything to get us in there. So I'm just trying to answer some of the questions of why we voted not voted Scottsdale out, but voted Denton in. Okay, go to the next one, please. Okay, so where Scottsdale is, it's a suburb of Phoenix. Everyone thinks it's so far away, but as you can tell right there, Scottsdale, it borders right up with Phoenix. It's not that far. And I don't know why the perception was it was so far away in the middle of the desert. It's not. Okay, next, please. It's pretty centrally located for a lot of the horse people. There is no place in the United States that's centrally located for all of us if you do the numbers and everything, but Arizona fits in there pretty well. How far is it from the airport? If you look, there's Denton to Love Field, that's 43 minutes. There's the Corona Ranch where the rodeo is this weekend, to this hotel, that's 21 minutes. From the Corona Ranch to Charlie's, that's 20 minutes. Westworld to Sky Harbor, 23 minutes. So you can see they're all kind of in there, they're very comparable. So it's not that far out.
How far is Westworld from Charlie's?
That I don't know.
Since they're a major sponsor, I think that's a
17 minutes.
Important.
How far is it?
17 minutes.
17 minutes.
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, Scottsdale is a world-class destination. It's a higher income. It's a pretty white bread type of community. It's also very Western oriented. So when we, that's where we fit in again, between our diversity as a gay rodeo and the fact that it is a rodeo, it's kind of the perfect fit there. Okay, but we won't be doing all of our stuff in the arena in the city. So that's Westworld. That's the aerial view of it. It's a very large facility. It's very well maintained, and it truly is a world-class venue for us. Okay, it's on 386 acres. It's at the base of Mount McDowell. It's a beautiful area. I don't know if you guys have ever been out that way, but if you have, it's one of the most beautiful areas in between central and southern Arizona. Has 8 outdoor arenas. I think you got ahead of yourself there. Yep, 8 outdoor arenas. It actually has more than that. It has 10 because it has a couple that are covered, but they're not truly indoor. They're just covered. But we're not going to be in the outdoor arenas. We're going to be in an indoor arena. So the indoor arena they have, it's climate controlled. It has 3,400 permanent seats. It's a sunken arena. They do the Parada del Sol, which will come up the first weekend of March here, which is a big PRCA rodeo. That happens in this arena. And there's 120,000 square feet in the space we'll be in. That's what it looks like right there. That's your arena. Okay, that's pictures of the Parada del Sol right there. A lot of the cowboys that will be leaving our rodeo are going to be going right up to Parada del Sol out of Tucson. One of the concerns that I'd heard about this arena was the dirt and safety issues. So they've agreed, and we put in the price already. They're going to put added materials, which they already have there on their premise. So they've done this before. All we have to pay, we don't have to pay for the material. All we have to pay for is the labor to get it there. That is a total of $100. So for us to get added dirt to our satisfaction, it's going to cost us $100, and that's included in the budget that I put in the whole thing. Now it does have binders for footing, for horse footing. So they've taken it to a science. This is what they do for a living. Everything's 90% of what they do out there is all equine related. RV spaces. These are Class A hookup spaces. Very nice. They're all around the facility. Almost 400 of them. 30 amp and some 50 amps. Has water. Dump station is on the site, so you can, if you use it before you take off, you can dump your trailer before you go home. The horse wash racks, very nice. They have pads. They have like 12 in a row. Each one has its own water spigot, everything else. It's best horse racks I've ever seen. Okay, cost. This is where we ran into where we didn't have answers to stuff. We were throwing out a number that was much higher than the number you're seeing there. Brian investigated it. I investigated. We didn't come up with that same number, but we didn't have it in time. So without that information, we couldn't. This is what we realistically will get. Now there's another, I would say between $2,000 and $5,000 out there that we could possibly get, but that's not included in this total. This is what we know we can get right here. So $12,000 in grant money. So when you look at how it all breaks down, put in all the arena related expenses, including stalls, all the extra charges. If you read their contract, it's fairly thick. So when you go through it, you have to look at every detail. Are they going to charge me for this? Are they going to charge me for that? I did that with a fine-tooth comb. Every charge that we'll get charged that's arena related and stalls is put on there. Put it at 75 stalls, which seems to be the standard that everyone's putting out for arenas in our rodeo, in finals. And after you take our $12,000 from the total cost of the arena, it will cost us for the entire weekend $3,700. So it's an unbelievable Class A facility for $3,700 for the weekend for finals. Now with that said, Carter Unger is the guy that I'm working with down there. He has relayed in an email to everyone here that when the very first day I went in, he put his checkbook right there and said, I will write you a check for $15,000 if you bring this rodeo for 218. This is after we had already lost it. We had already gone on to Denton and everything. He was dead serious. And with that, he said, anything you don't get in grants, I eat. That's how much they want us there. So bottom line is, it's a great facility. It is world class, not only the city that it's in, but the facility itself, all the amenities that come with the facility, and they want us there. So we're kind of the perfect fit. And that's the presentation for 2019.
Gene?
I just have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned his checkbook gesture for to bring 2018 there.
Correct.
Is that an across the board offer? Do you know?
As far as I understand, I believe that offer is probably off the table. Yes, when I go there too.
Brian?
The grant applications, I've had a thorough look at what the grant applications require, and I would be happy to lead a team of people to submit those grants. You saw there was, I think, 5 or 6 grants there. They're all separate grants. They all require an application process. We would probably have to start relatively soon for 2019 to get those grants pulled together, get them written properly, and get them submitted in a timely fashion for 2019. But however, not one individual can write the grant because it requires lots of information. It requires information from David, it requires information from marketing, it requires information from some of our associations, etc. But I'd be happy to help pull that together.
Dean and then
I would like to make a motion that the board approve the World Day Rodeo Finals 2019 to be held in Westworld, Wisconsin.
Second.
Okay. So the motion is, because this was, the proposal was for 2019, so he's making the motion for we accept 2019, and Brian has so graciously offered to lead this team. This is exactly what I was talking about. It's the same. It's a takes a village or whatever. So anybody that wants to volunteer and help, and certainly anything I can do, I'd be happy to as well. So, any more discussion? Go ahead.
Brian Carter will help you with this too. He'll help you step by step, and he's very well versed in it because he's applied for most of these on his own.
Sure.
For his own reasons.
And again, I'd be happy to help coordinate the grant applications and submittals. I'm not a typist. I can't type. We need somebody who can type. We need somebody who has access to our financial records, and we need Tommy Channel who has access to our other records, our insurance records. All of those things have to go into the grant. But I can look at the grant and make sure it's meeting the requirements of it.
Okay. Mary?
So I think that place, it looks great, it's fantastic. And since is that same bid going to be up for 2018? And why I'm just asking is, what I'm asking about is, can we wait for the vote till after we see where 2018 is going to end up and then?
Well, no, wait, no. We're talking two different things, and I think people would take that into consideration after this is, if this is selected for 2019, then certainly I would imagine everybody would take that into consideration of other places. You know, he certainly can do it,
right?
But but this right now, as Chuck pointed out, and Sam had proposed, was bringing this for 2019. So we're just talking. We're going to do that one, and then.
No, I understand. Yeah, I'm not saying it's for 2018. I was saying, should we hold the vote off until after we figure what we're doing for 2018? And
no, two different things.
They're independent.
Independent.
Yes, I understand. Okay.
Michael?
I'm not familiar with the Scottsdale overall package. I see this takes care of the arena. The quarterfinals is the arena, the stock contractor, the hotel. So
not in the bids. Not whenever someone does the.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Lisa?
I think what he's trying to say, we normally look at the hotel and the venue. And that was one of our setbacks too, was the cheapest hotel room in Scottsdale was pretty high up there.
It was $99.
Yep, $99.
location's a tourist area anyway, you could usually find something reasonable in those areas.
I would disagree in a big way. You come here to Phoenix, you get a rental car, we're paying twice what we normally pay somewhere else. So if you've got a good deal on the arena, but your hotel rooms are going to be $250 a night, that plays into the overall picture. So, to me, it's a package deal. That may just be me, and that's fine, but I think you can't just look at one piece and say, oh, this is where finals needs to be, and not worry about anything else.
Okay, well, so the young lady that had emailed me and the offer, and we can certainly, she said that she extended that offer was the $99. It's Marriott. Okay. Yep. It's very close to the facility.
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't include this in here because it was so far out and I had the old information, yep. So I didn't know if it would be valid or not, so I didn't put it in.
So
that's an amazing rate for Scottsdale.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And she had, I clarified it. She on the original contract with them that wasn't signed. It was for, it said single, and I clarified to make sure that was for double, and it was. So it was $99 for double.
That's awesome.
Okay. So we have her. Jack, you have a question?
Well, I have a question with a thought, and it kind of relates, but not really. That's awesome for Marriott. And Denver, we use the Marriott as well. You know, we work with one of their national directors. It poses the question that we get a rate of 109, which is good for Denver. Denver's expensive. 99 is amazing for Scottsdale. We should look at some point, some kind of, is we're all using a lot of the similar hotels, looking at it broad.
Okay, this was the same thing. I just talked to Lisa about this. Same thing I learned at Connect. I spoke to the another hotel chain, and he told me the exact same thing. He said if everybody, all the associations would discuss this and use the power of the numbers together, you'll continue to get great rates or whatever. And that was the one thing about the RFP, about getting our numbers right and using that for hotel chains, because it really helps.
So I just, to address your, I guess what made me think about it, Michael, is that to address your point is that we have a lot of power as a group, and I don't think we utilize that.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Chop chop. Okay. All those in favor of the finals in Scottsdale for 2019, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Great job, Sam. So, okay. Did we have any other? Okay. I don't think there was any more committee reports, right? Oh.
Women's outreach.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Go ahead. Women's outreach.
Morning, everybody. This is a basic progress report. We last met at convention. At convention, we assigned division leads for women's outreach. Laura Scott is Division 1 for contestants, Christy Michaels for royalty in 2, myself for shoot and arena volunteers in 3, and Division 4, Lilia for membership. We've decided to keep those leads active. However, we are asking each member association to appoint a representative for women's outreach in accordance with the bylaws. I know it hasn't been done in a while. I think strength in numbers would help this out a lot. These representatives will be responsible for the Women of Rodeo pictures. We're going to try to do them at each event rather than just rodeo, so we can show the involvement of the women and all what the women are doing, as well as their home rodeos, if they have one, as well as encouraging women to get more women to get involved in the respective associations. Member reps will report to their division lead, and the division leads will come to Lilia and I as co-chairs. It's been implemented to ensure the committee can be more successful while maintaining accountability within the committee to make sure. I know in years prior, people have gotten excited and then it wanes. We're trying to avoid that. We started adding women sponsors to the Women of Rodeo pictures. They're an integral part of our rodeos and should be recognized whether a part of the member association or not. Visibility and a strong network of supportive women will hopefully start to draw more women in, and recognizing our women sponsors may encourage more women to start sponsoring IGRA as a whole. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
I think John Hill wants to address everyone, or social media.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Thanks, everybody. Apologies, I did not submit a report. Unfortunately, the joys of sometimes traveling non-rev make me being in certain places at certain times not a certainty, but fortunately I was able to get a ticket this time. So the one thing that I did want to share with you is that social media is trying to be much more active and on a regular, ongoing basis rather than just around rodeos, having multiple posts per week on Facebook, and we're going to start activating a couple of other accounts on other platforms. This weekend we have 4 different contestants and royalty folks who are going to be posting through the weekend, trying to make sure that our fans are able to see multiple aspects of the rodeo, both behind the chutes and in the arena and out at social events as well. So I'm encouraged that we've been able to get a cross-section of horse folks and rough stock folks and royalty who are willing to share their perspectives on that. What I'd really like to ask of the trustees is, please, any events that you have going on in your associations, please get them back to me. I'd love to promote them through our 3,000 or actually 4,000 plus fans that we have on Facebook, and hopefully we'll continue to build through other platforms as well. I sent an email that Candy had forwarded on about a month and a half ago, and I got 0 responses on that. We want to help amplify your signal. If people in other associations hear about your events, they might fly in, they might end up doing a weekend. And we know that royalty folks do that all the time, where they go to each other's royalty competitions, and it builds a base for you. Please let us do that for you. The other thing that was in that email, and I apologize, I probably should keep my emails a little more concise, but the IGRA spotlight, the member spotlight that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks has been a huge success. The Todd Tramp post that we did got well over, it was close to 4,000 views, which is amazing because our group only has 4,200 members. But what's happening is people are sharing those posts out, and then more people are seeing it, and it amplifies the reach that we have. But more importantly, there are people in your associations who do a lot of work, are not as visible as other people because they're not president, they're not your #1 contestant. They don't get that recognition, and we really want to help those people as well get the recognition that they deserve. So contestants, royalty folks, behind the chutes, in the association boards, we want to make sure that we're capturing all aspects of IGRA and the people that keep us a valid and vital association. So my email is cgrajohn@gmail.com. If you have people you want to nominate, all I need is an email address so I can get them what we would need from them. We ask like 6 or 7 questions and ask for a couple of photos. The photos help because the photos get liked and shared, and then that builds up the views. And also, any events that you have, you can either send them to the IGRA Facebook page through Messenger, or you can send them to me directly. If you have posters, if you have any photos that you want to share with it, I'm glad to do that. Even if you just tell me, I've created an event on our Facebook page, can you share this out? Glad to do that as well too. So please use us. We're here to help get your word out as well as the association as a whole. Thank you.
Could you do the email address one more time?
Yes, thank you.
CGRA John, John, @gmail.com. And please pass my contact information on to your social media folks as well too, so we can establish a relationship.
Lisa?
I was going to say that the WGRF has a Facebook page too, and we would like to get as active as the contestant page is, as far as things that come out, or you know, like here's your new venue coming up, you know, blah blah blah, after it's been officially posted. You know, we don't want to put out information that's not true or correct, but we are trying to build that page up too, to keep contestants and volunteers up to snuff more.
Absolutely, and thanks for mentioning that. We actually, under our umbrella, have IGRA. IGRA University is still a valid Facebook page at the moment, and then World Gay Rodeo Finals as well too. We try to cross post where it makes sense to, but to Lisa, to your point, we probably could do more regular content on WGRF as well too. So.
I think that kind of goes to your closing comments from the executive board meeting, was about official communication. I mean, just right here, you have 3 different venues of information being shared. Who's getting what is piecemeal, they're not getting it all. I just think it needs, somehow it has to be rallied in, and because, you know, Lisa has one, Chuck has one, John has several. I mean, and I think that's where people get frustrated that they're missing information because it might be one and not the other. So I think it goes back to a broader, more precise question: how do we communicate as IGRA?
And I can actually speak to that. So, I mean, the IGRA Facebook page is going to be the #1 source for anything IGRA related.
Is that the official IGRA communication?
Yes. So, for example, when Candy posted about that,
is it designated as the official? We need to make that decision.
It's social media. So we still, as a board, communicate.
Right, but I think your question was earlier, social communication. Right?
Okay.
That's how I interpreted it earlier. From
but what I was going to say to that is that we don't want World Gay Rodeo Finals and IGRA University to be just mirrors, because then why would somebody belong to all 3 of those pages? The ideal concept of those is to have content that is more specifically appropriate for those individual pages, and that's why World Gay Rodeo Finals really hasn't had a lot recently, because there hasn't been a lot going on that has been communicated out. But once the post was made to IGRA about Denton, we then immediately shared that information out to the World Gay Rodeo Finals page as well too. I'm always open to feedback as far as how we can improve how that works, but I appreciate where you're coming from.
Yeah, I was speaking to Candy's earlier point of our as a whole, what our official social media policies is IGRA. So that's what I was kind of seeking, I guess, clarification on. And to your point, yeah, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I know that those are specific,
yeah,
but I can see how it gets frustrating because there's a lot of information out there. And you're trying to get as much as the other stuff.
It depends on what, you know, we're talking social media, we're not talking business at hand, so to speak.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to clarify, the first time you gave the email, I thought you said CGRA John?
No, just CGRA John at gmail.com.
John.
Okay, I want to say exactly, Jack, what you're saying was my whole point too. I hear all these things on Facebook, but we don't know what to send to email. And what is the official means of communication? Are you going to force everybody to be, until we make a decision, we're not getting anywhere. And we're missing information. And, you know, I mean, it's just too frustrating. And you share it on Facebook, you expect us to know about it, and everybody is not on Facebook. I'm not the only one who's not on Facebook. And I've always understood that why do we have the Yahoo group if we're not going to, you know, if Facebook's going to be it? It's just too scattered. We don't know what's going on.
Sam and then.
Would it be beneficial, because everyone's not on Facebook, everyone doesn't necessarily tweet, all those kind of things, that could we get clearinghouse for IGRA. Maybe we get an exploratory committee or something like that.
John is our are you asking John?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Sure.
Well, he's our committee chair, so, okay.
The scope of this committee, as I understand it, is strictly on social media.
Yes.
So that would be things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those types of things. Having said that, I'm more than glad to be involved in any type of committee or team that wants to look at how to streamline our communications, because to Ron's point, you're right, there is no 100% universal platform. Facebook has been by far our most successful one from what I've seen over the last few years, but you're not going to reach everybody that way, and we need to be able to make sure that if we post something, especially if something gets sent out on Yahoo that we know about it on the Facebook side, we don't need to send out the little cute cowboy videos that occasionally get posted on the Yahoo group, but really you're talking about the official communications as far as events and decisions that are made with the board, and I'm absolutely on board with helping streamline that.
And everything, because even like when I send out minutes, I do it all through email, because everybody doesn't even respond to the invitation to be part of the Yahoo group. And personally, I don't like that one myself, but and then if people change emails and we don't know about it, you know, for any of us to do that, it's just, we just need to come to some decision on what's what. And our records should be public. As a 501c3, we should not be hiding anything.
Brian?
Well, I was just going to say that, you know, today with all the technology, there's no silver bullet for communicating with everybody. It's actually all those ways. It's more of a buckshot approach. Even though, Ron, you're absolutely, I think you're absolutely right. There has to be, you know, sort of an official way of doing that. But I think it's a combination of social media, the Yahoo group, email, website announcement, until we get a portal or something similar that becomes the official gateway or access point for all communications related to what's going on with Hydrate. Not maybe official board communication, that's certainly appropriate for email, but for announcements and updates and so on, really it takes a buckshot approach.
Well, I agree with you, Brian. So, but for example, going back to what I said earlier, like GPRA, when Facebook people were seeing that it's folded and it's not, right, then we run into issues like that.
Sure.
That's my whole point about miscommunication, incorrect information.
Yes, I'll just say this, Ron, to you, as someone who does not use Facebook, okay, that official communication, I don't believe, came from the official Facebook site for IGRA. It came from an individual's site.
Right, but different people were getting.
Yes, but we will never have any control over that. So we have our official IGRA contestant team site or whatever, our official IGRA site, but I could go onto my Facebook page right now and post that, you know, IGRA is shutting down, the rodeo's over, everybody go home. And it would be blasted out there and spread around like wildfire before you know.
News.
So we do need, I think, a buckshot approach, and we also need to look at a single source portal for all communication related to IGRA. Just a thought.
Any other discussion? Oh, Frank?
That's precisely what the announcements area is intended for. The actual announcement does not have to go on the IGRA website, but if someone lets me know that there's something important that's posted somewhere else, I can stick it on there and link to it. That's what that area was designed for. Just nobody's utilizing, there's very few people are utilizing it.
Brian?
I just have a request, and I don't know, perhaps John could do this, or someone could do this, but we probably have 5 different communication tools right now currently. If somebody could just list those, in other words, if you're going to put those out, it needs to go to the Yahoo. It needs to go to it needs to be emailed to the board of directors. It needs to go to the Facebook page. It needs to go to Frank Harrell, the webmaster, for the announcement. It needs to go to the Yahoo group posting, so that we all know what the buckshot approach is. Because I don't think we all know what the buckshot approach is. And it would be helpful if somebody could articulate that for us in a list of, when you send out a communication, here's the 5 places to send it out.
I would welcome that. That would make our lives a lot easier, so that I don't have to find out about posting something on Facebook because something went out to the Yahoo group and wasn't shared through it. And I appreciate, thank you so much for this. We didn't expect this amount of dialogue on this. This was really just me making a request. So I'm glad that the board is engaging in this conversation. We really, the blessing and the curse of social media is it can spread like wildfire. When it's done properly, you have Todd Tramp's face all over everybody's Facebook page for a week because it keeps getting shared out. The downside of that is the GPRA announcement and how just one person posting something on their own individual page gets shared out. We want to be able to harness that whenever possible for our own benefit, but we also need to be aware of the downside so that we can try and mitigate any damage that is done after the fact and even use our own channels. But I'm glad to partner with whoever to create that list. There's nothing documented with it, but I know I prefer that Frank is putting up a posting at the same time that it's going out to Yahoo groups, that it's going out to the Facebook page and any other social media platform that we have, so that we have that consistency.
So how do we, is that something that we need to assign to another person? I mean, you have access to, well, go ahead, Jack.
I don't know that you can assign, I totally agree with Brian. I don't think that you can assign it, or that we as a board can take control of that, because you're talking about individual pages.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
But what I do, if I can just finish my thought, but what I do think is a great idea that Brian pointed out is that these are the 5 individual pages. You know, it's Chuck, it's Lisa, it's John, it's Frank, and whomever else. And then if you're going to post something, it takes one click to send them a message, say, hey, just so you know, this is going out, or whatever. Yeah, the buckshot approach, I think it's a phenomenal idea.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. Gee.
I want to make sure I understood what Jeff just said, because I think I disagree, but I might be wrong.
You're wrong. Disagree with that.
But I think what Brian asked for is to list the 4 or 5, whatever they are, communication methods that are officially IGRA. That IGRA or someone as a representative of IGRA are managing. That wouldn't include individual Facebook pages or individual Facebook groups or individual Yahoo groups that exist out there that I'm even aware of that are not facilitated as a direction of this board. Because those 4 or 5 things are facilitated under the direction of the board of directors or executive board, one of the 2. So I think that's what he's asking for the list of, because there are certain Facebook groups and pages and stuff that are actually public groups that individuals are not allowed to be a part of.
Right. I don't disagree. I think you're right.
So I think those aren't what we're talking about. We're talking about those that are facilitated and come under the direction of this board.
Right, so I think there's 2 things there. I think you're right. I interpret it the same way. That yes, there's one that's facilitated by this board in the direction and the official pages, as a committee chair, Johnson, for example. And then there's some that are not. They're individual pages, like I think the contestant page is an individual page by Chuck. I don't know.
It's not mine.
Oh, well, whoever.
I'm just an administrator.
Okay, so he's the administrator. Whoever, there's those individual pages. And I guess what my thought is, can we ask as a courtesy, hey, here's the information that's going out. Would you post it on your page as well as a courtesy?
officially from IGRA, those 5 at least, so we all know who those are. And then the thing we can do is encourage everybody to use those 5 so that as many people get notification officially as we can.
Well, thank God you're sent down, because I think I agree.
And I'm sure I'm wrong.
I just have a heart.
Brian?
Yes, I was just suggesting a Word document distributed to the board with, here are the 5 addresses, including Frank's updated new cowboy address, whatever the latest one it is, your email address, the Yahoo group address, to get it on Facebook, send it to John Hill at this address, and it can be used as a checklist for anybody else.
That's exactly, I mean, and what we would ask in return once that's put together is that any communication that's sent out, whether it be for finals or at the end of the board meeting and communication being sent out, that it be somebody go down that checklist and just make sure that all those contacts are sent to.
Will you make that document for us and we'll send it up?
Will do.
All right, perfect.
Thanks for suggesting that, Brian.
We lost you. Okay. So,
If you're done with that.
go ahead.
I did submit a report, but as the judges committee chair, I can.
Yes, I would love you. Appreciate you.
Sorry I didn't submit support from the judges committee, but just a quick update for you. We had our first call on January 7th. There were 9 judges and student judges present. We talked about the rule changes and some of the going into 2018. We talked about our goals of consistency and had a lot of discussion and debate. There was 1, 2, 3, at least 4 people in this room on the call. So it was a very active call. I think it was about an hour and a half. Since then, we've had a follow-up with an email with just some 3 basic questions and trying to do that on a regular basis on things that are more inconsistent at rodeo, so that everybody can feel confident that we're trying for consistency. I have the judges schedule here, also the rock calls that are quarterly. So anybody's welcome to attend them. If you want to see this or you want me to email it to you, feel free. I can just write your email in the back and I can email it to you. But feel free to attend if you would like to.
Sure.
That's it.
Other ones? Okay. What's wrong?
Candy?
Yes.
As a committee chair for the Archives Committee, will I be able to put out, to prepare a request for people to send donations and then send it to John to post and to Frank to post on the IGRA website, or does that need to come through the board?
I don't think so. I think you can send that out.
That's all I wanted to hear.
I think you can even do a GoFundMe. That seems to be a appropriate approach these days. Just, you know what I mean? Because it can be linked and posted on those.
I'll send it to John and he can do what he wants.
I think Frank's talking about. Anyway, I'm just saying it's a good way to gather something and easy for people to pay easily is through GoFundMe. It's a suggestion. It would still be. No, but that's what I'm saying. It could be GoFund, IGRA archive. You know, it's just a thought. Sometimes when you make on technology, when you make it easy for somebody to give money, especially with credit cards and stuff like that, it's easy. Any other committee reports?
I guess it's the right place to do it. I just wanted to update on convention because I wasn't at the last meeting or phone thing. We were able to get the room rate down to 104 for those who don't know, which in Salt Lake is pretty good. Just so you also know, taxes are about $25 a room now up there. So you understand that it's going to be about $130 for your room. I don't want anybody to get any surprises. Things are going well. I do have the contract we will be signing with the hotel here if someone wants to look at it or go over it with me if they have concerns. I went over it with someone from the Utah Travel Commission, who's a good friend of mine. He liked it. We are where we want to be financially. For those who have had questions of whether or not we understood what we were getting into, yes, we did. We know that once that we accepted the hosting of this convention, that it was our financial responsibility to put it on, not IGRA's. So that I know there has been concerns about that, and we are aware that it's out of our pocketbook. We want to welcome everybody to come to Salt Lake. We're still trying to put some of our entertainment together. I'm very disappointed in that the Saliva Sisters may not be available that weekend, so I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. But we will probably be doing everything at the hotel. Information that I was given when we got the contract was that they have done away with their hotel shuttle, so they do not have a shuttle to the hotel. You can take a Trax line to the university drop-off spot, but it's quite a hike up to the hotel from there, so we're trying to figure out some way of helping people get to the hotel so they don't have to take a cab ride. It's about $22 for a cab ride plus tip. So gives you an idea of where that stands. If you have any questions for me, you can contact me at my personal email is what I use with IGRA, and that's kevinhillman@comcast.net. Fairly straightforward. And that's basically all I have to say if anybody has any questions.
Do you have Uber Lyft in Salt Lake?
Yep.
No more committee reports, I don't think. Okay, move to unfinished business. Is there any suggestions for a corporate auditor? Amy?
Is Ed willing to continue? I would like to suggest Mr. Ed Berry.
Perfect. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The next was for the public relations spokesperson. I didn't know till just this moment that Bryson was not going to be here to speak to everyone. I appointed a young man, a new member of Oklahoma, to the marketing position. He's, I think he's going to do some great things. He's working on our marketing packet, for corporate sponsors. I just asked him about that. I thought we would have that at this point. He said he had some business things that came up where he couldn't make the meeting. Is there anybody else that has any other people to nominate for? Go ahead.
I just want to get this straight. Are we talking marketing or public relations?
We're talking public relations. I was just letting you know the young man that I suggested for this position. I spoke out of turn whenever this one is appointed by this board, and usually they're kind of synced up. Before last year, Buck kind of worked on both of them for us in the absence of having one after Ryan resigned. So that was I was just talking about Bryce.
It's the successor to Ryan Reed position, correct?
Yep.
Okay, when she said marketing, there's a difference.
I was talking about the young man that is our marketing, and I had suggested him for the public relations as well because they kind of sync up quite a bit. But anyway, Chuck.
very key, and I think that's why this body is supposed to appoint this, because it's key, it's important. We need somebody who understands our history, what we're about, directing inquiries from the outside, news agencies or whatever, looking for information, to get them with key people that represent our association and represent us in the way that we want it to be there. I know he's relatively new. I don't think he knows a lot of that history.
Okay.
But again, I'm not opposed to that. I've kind of asked around a little bit, seen if anybody's interested. A couple people came back and said that they couldn't commit to it. But I'd rather take a little bit more time if everybody could reach out and think. I mean, my ideal candidate is Roger Bergman, but I don't know if he'll accept that or not. But again, because of the knowledge and the history, and you don't have anything else to do.
Take over the archives.
No, you can do that too. But that's just my concern. I really think this is important to us, and with Ryan stepping down from that, I think Ryan was doing a great job. That's just my concern. So I don't want to rush into a decision until we can really think about who can make this beneficial to us, because our PR right now is a little bit low.
Yep. Amy?
Do we know if anyone else has expressed an interest?
There's been no one. We put it on the Facebook. I put it out on an email to the board. Absolutely no one has had any interest in the people that, like Chuck said, have had a lot more experience, have all declined it. So, yes, Mr.
Would you do it?
Oh, what I was going to say is, in the interim, as just public relations, not marketing, because I'm not a marketer. But in the interim, I would be happy to act in that position if you so desire.
Why would it be in the interim? Why can't it be permanent?
Good question.
Well, I'm happy to do that. I don't want to inject myself into that position, but
oh no. Well, but see, I can't nominate, but I'm sure someone. I'm sure someone.
I'd be happy.
Thank you.
I nominate Brian.
Okay, second.
PR.
Okay, so now we fixed the problem.
That was efficient.
Oh, thank you. You like how that worked?
That was very all in favor.
And I think that is an excellent idea. Thank you for.
Yes. I asked you. Thank you very much.
No, but Chuck, and I think I even asked before too.
Welcome to my world.
I'm reminded that this is a 3-year appointment goes through 2020.
Brian's not going in.
No, he knows. I'm just reminding
Okay, so we're going to hurry through this then. All those in favor for Brian for the PR position, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, now you've done 3 years.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
As a suggestion, you might still talk to Bryson and work with him over the next 3 years.
That's a great idea for training and stuff.
So in 3 years, when you're sick of us again, or sick of that position.
I think we need to do a better job of mentoring.
He's younger and cute.
Yep. Okay, we'll move to any other old business.
You just let me run.
Okay, moving right ahead. New business. Rodeo or schools. We put this in. Well, I think we did. Yeah, we'll move that. Okay, insurance renewal. We'll do that on that one on Bruce. Okay. Okay. Compete magazine proposal. They had sent this in. It's a partial sponsorship. We also pay a fee on. So did you?
Lisa would call it.
Can I ask a question? Chuck may know this. We did this last year, right? Did we pay them last year as well?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a contract, annual contract.
Yeah. So does everybody have a see what we,
Everybody should have a email
there's a
out there.
copy on it.
Yep.
It shows, it has the, all the stuff that we get in return, and end result is that we pay them $44.25. Their donated part is $9,200 worth of product of ads and I believe
And they're expanding their footprint across the country. Recently, they expanded up into the Northeast and up into the Northwest. And they're mostly currently in the Southwest and expanding out. And it's currently our only, probably our only marketing that we have.
this time is. Any discussion?
I just have a question on, when, on the second page it talks about special edition, and it says it locked us in for 2 years for the finals. As far as them producing the exclusive program, basically, is what it's saying there.
So we get in this contract, we get 2 years for one price? Or?
Well, no, because the way I'm reading it, they don't have to do that.
Right.
But they have the exclusive rights to do that, which locks us out of being able to get anyone else to do it.
Like the first right of refusal, basically.
Okay. Jack?
On the partnership agreement, second line under the special edition, compete magazine shall sell advertising and partnerships for such publication. That's scary because they can sell advertising to anybody. They could sell to an anti-gay, not saying they would, but it has no restrictions who they can sell advertising to in that.
Jack, where are you looking at? I'm sorry.
In the partnership agreement, second page.
Okay.
Special edition magazine, second paragraph.
But I thought it also said Idre had the, let me read it.
Final approval for publication for printing.
Yeah, so if they have an ad in there, we still have the right to say approve, and if we don't like something in the, we can say that needs to be pulled.
But there's nothing in it that addresses that we can pull. It says approval for publication. So it does say that we do have a printing, but if they have the right to sell, then we're screwed again, because if we don't approve it then, and they've sold an ad, I mean, I just think that needs cleaned up.
I think this is the same contract that we had previously, and I don't think we have any concerns on it. I think definitely we can present it to Eric, just to clarify it. Good point.
Okay. First and second. So we have the first and second paragraph there, or we need to clean up, right? So, anything else?
Second and third.
Second and third, I mean.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the first one, the special edition, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this was first and second.
Yeah.
So, do we want to add this, since we're having that meeting on the 27th, or we want to go back, we can go back to Eric and have this cleaned up, and then we'll discuss it then? Is everybody all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll table that, and I'll send it back to.
This is probably something if we need to, the executive board could address later.
You're right.
If the board supports that.
Yep.
Because we're losing opportunities now because of the impact date.
Yep. Well, the conference call would be just as fast. It'd be within 10 days, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just remind you that this shows on the expiration date for this contract is the 21st of this month. Just so you know that, so we would have to get that done by the 21st.
Okay.
Okay, so we probably, Chuck, hang on, I got a copy of this. So let's wordsmith this, and I'll have him email it right back to me if you want to do that.
Sure.
It could be as easy as having a sentence that says something like, we have the right to pull any ads that are inappropriate that we don't support, and it's their responsibility to deal with their partnership if they sold it. I mean, it really is that simple as just adding some clarification.
So we just need to, and then on that special edition magazine, we need to fix that too, right? Because on the World League Finals, because it was. 2019. Does anybody have this up in Word that we can, Jack, do you have it up as a PDF?
Yeah. It's PDF. We can convert it and wordsmith it over there.
If you can, yeah, if you can help me wordsmith it, I don't have that up on my, I don't have that computer on right now, so. Yeah, right on that one. Let's fix that, and I'll send it right, Eric's we can probably get it right back. We are gonna table it for after lunch.
And do you have time to do that?
Okay. Okay. Do you have time? I know, but I was just giving. All right, the sponsorship package, World Game Finals, Rodeo. You wanna do? You ready? Okay.
Did everybody receive their package in the email? The only thing that I'm asking is that it be okay pending changes because of the new situation that's happened with the location. And page 1 and 4 are the only pages that need to be changed, besides a couple of grammatical errors. Is it? It's pretty basic. It's just like last year's, with the exception of the information about what it's going to be.
As soon as we do have a location, they'll just change the pictures and pages 1 and 4. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Did you have something?
Nay.
I had discussed.
You didn't get it in there, girl. Approved. Did you want to go? You go ahead and say whatever you need to say.
Well, I didn't see the buckles in the other portion.
No, because in light of the new situation, not knowing the financials, that whole thing is there were some changes that were made financially with the cost, with the pricing of what they wanted to charge to sponsor the buckles. So it was best to not even attempt that one. Because they had lowered them quite a bit, the cost.
Who's they?
The rodeo director and the vice president.
Okay. From last year?
Yes.
But what you're saying is now they may need to cost more because our
Correct.
expenses are likely
Correct.
to increase.
Thank you.
Erica, can you do yours in 17 minutes or you need more time?
Let's probably do it at that time.
Talk fast.
I'll talk really fast. Y'all can listen fast.
Oh, hang on a second there. They're saying it'll take more. So, we'll just talk about the logo then. We kind of spoke about it earlier. So, I guess what we just need to make sure that everybody understands that you do have to have, you know, if your rodeo is approved, then we understand, and it's all your rodeo paraphernalia and stuff like that. It just can't be used without IJRA's permission. And we define that as, it depends on how critical the time is or whatever. You know, you can get with me, I get with the executive board. Certainly if it's an IJRA event. Anybody have a comment on that? Go ahead.
So, if you have an approved rodeo, then I guess what I'm wanting to make sure of is that our rodeo being sanctioned and requiring the logo to be used for advertising for that event, does that carry over to events we have throughout the year to fund that event? And I guess I'll wait and get an answer to that, and then I have a follow-up, because in some of our associations, there's a tricky year in there.
Well, I'm gonna look for some better expertise, because I always thought that that was part of it. If you're raising money for your IGRA rodeo, in my mind, you know, you're attaching it to IGRA. I mean, you're funding, that fundraiser is for that, and I thought it was okay, but I'm kind of hearing that some people are saying it's not. So Brian was first, then Lisa, then Ron.
First of all, Ron, I did send you a email about the trademark renewal for the World Gay Rodeo Finals copyright.
Yeah.
Yes, it was going to be under new business.
I didn't get it.
Okay, could you add it now, and I'm happy to talk about it now or later.
Talking about locals.
Yes.
He sent me an email that said about use of the trademark renewal, but I didn't get it, but he wants to add it to the new business sometime.
I can clarify this if you like. So IGRA has 2 registered trademarks. One is World Gay Rodeo Finals, circle R, we own that, those words. 2 is International Gay Rodeo Association, Jumpy Horse, and the words across the bottom, circle R. We own those, and those are registered with the US PTO Patent Office. And if someone should use those against our desires, the government of the United States would go after them and protect us from their use or misuse thereof. Okay, we would not have to fight them. The government would fight them for us on our behalf. So there are 2 things happening. One, which is the new business. I'll just toss it out now. We can talk about it again. We have our 10-year renewal is coming up, and we have to show the U.S. Patent Office that we have been consistently using that logo in our business over the last 10 years, and we have to submit an application. And after that, it's permanent. So we did one at 6 years, and we do another one at 10. Our 10-year is due. So to that end, to answer Jean's question, that logo, World Gay Rodeo Finals and or IGRA, horsey thing, IGRA thing, is under our control, and it is the expectation that we control who uses it, when they use it, how they use it. So, as the newly appointed public relations director, for example, if somebody wanted to, do it on a wet underwear contest poster, is that something that we want to have our logo on? Okay, or not? So we have to give permission to them to do that. If it's official IGRA business and we're doing it, then it can be on the logo. It should be on the. It should be on the document or the offering or whatever it is, to show the consistent 10 years of usage. That we didn't just patent or trademark it and then never use it. Does that make sense?
No, well, I'm still asking this question of this board. I still want to know. It was the same way as of like our rodeo schools and stuff like that. Are we allowed to use the IGRA logo? I mean, or not? What I'm hearing you say is we're not. So, that's today. I think we need clarification for everyone, because everyone does a fundraiser. Like recently, Nevada did it it was on their barrel race, but those funds are going to their rodeo, to fund their IGRA rodeo. So that's what we're asking.
The two logos though you just named, the trademarks,
Yes.
are not the logos that are getting used.
Correct.
The logo that I'm talking about, and that most of us in here use, some of us use the little jumpy horse and then the International Gay Rodeo thing, is the regular jumpy horse circles and the TM on it.
That's correct.
And so, but my question is that can those once we've gotten a rodeo sanction, we're required by rule to use those on all advertisement for that rodeo. We're required, bigger than a business card, bigger than a business card. So that, I would assume, gives us permission to use it, since we're required to based on our rules. But if as an association, just as a member association, we have a fundraiser, then do we need to come back to the board to use jumping horse with the I and the circles and TM, not those other two that are ours?
Yes, you do. The reason is this, because think of it as levels of protection, okay? So the TM is just a lower level of protection of our logo than the circle R. The circle R is a higher level of protection. If somebody were to use the circle horse with the TM on it, on something that we did not want them to use it on, and we wanted to fight them over it, we would fight them, and the cost would be ours to fight. The fight would be ours, okay? We would still have to fight them. With the circle R, we would not have to fight them.
No,
the government would fight them.
So with that being said, if that's the answer, cool, I got that. How as a board then do we manage these incoming requests, or as associations, do we just simply quit using the IGRA logo on anything, whether it has value or not to IGRA?
That's a question for the board.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about.
Lisa was next, then Ron, then Chuck.
I was just going to say, if the fundraiser does not pertain to the rodeo / IGRA function, then you don't need it on your.
We don't, but we were proud to be at a member association of the International Gay Rodeo Association, so we were advertising.
Well, and then you get into the fact of who, like you do a poster saying IGRA's, DSRA's underwear contest, and the fundraising is not going towards the rodeo.
We never do that.
It's going towards another charity in Little Rock. Does it go on there? Ron?
Okay, I'm totally confused now. I think everybody is, because, for one thing, we are member associations of IGRA, and we should be supporting IGRA. And when this was put into place in the standing rule many years ago, I believe it was the intent was to protect us from outside associations using the IGRA logo. But if we're going to look at this, and with what Brian's saying, it sounds to me then that if you're going to do that and say we've got to get approval, everything, even IGRA merchandise that's sold in the IGRA booth, then in new merchandise, we're going to have to come back to the board and get approval to use that logo.
No, I actually have that approval in writing already, so.
And then it prevents us also, if we want to do anything in a local association that may or may not be money going to IGRA, then you're not going to be able to do anything. You can't do any advertising or promotions ahead of time like you like to do. And the other thing is, a lot of times people have been advertising their rodeos on the website before they're actually approved. So are we going to have to wait for everything? I don't know.
Chuck?
Frank, can you put up page 27 from the bylaws?
I think that one's there.
Or you can do a search for logo. Oh, there you are. Oh, perfect. Thank you. What I'm seeing on Facebook are a lot of posters, okay? What we try to do with some of the groups is share that information to get to more people and try to, you know, support all those events. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing events that are not anything to do with our sanctioned rodeos, convention, or all of our events. And the logo is on there. So we're a 501c3 now. I don't know what the implications are, but my belief is it has that logo on there. Is that money coming to IGRA? Are we tracking where that money's going? Are we tracking, doing the audit trail and funding, et cetera, et cetera? So I think this is opening up where we just say, hey, any association can use that logo, because this clearly says right there that member associations and our individual members must secure IGRA's written approval prior to the use of IGRA's name or logo. Yes, in the documents it covers associations that are having sanctioned events have to use the logo. So that's a requirement in there. If it comes into any of those aspects, as far as apparel, that's also covered in our governing documents where that's already taken care of. But this really, in my eyes, is trying, and it's from a marketing standpoint, it's from our marketing chair, you know, who is putting this stuff together. I think what's important is that we want to make sure if our logo's on an event, that it's a legitimate event and it's being handled correctly, because it does have our name and our brand on it.
And it's a lot of cash.
It could be, we don't know.
Right.
Because I
right.
I think it's a double-edged sword, because here we're wanting to promote ourselves, but then we're locking it down as well. I understand Chuck's point, and I understand how this is written, but I think it's twofold there. You know, you're wanting to promote IGRA, and so you have an event and someone sees that, you know, logo, but I can understand. I think Frank was next.
Point that Brian kind of smoothed over in his discussion is that what this does is protects us against bad guys using it. We don't have to say anything. Anybody who wants to could theoretically put the logo on wherever they want to put it on. But if we see something that we don't like it on, then we've got a way of going after that person. So it's a matter of what we want or don't want that logo to show. We can just simply ignore the whole rule as long as we want, until we see something that we don't like, then we can go after that.
But we want to prevent that.
James and Chuck and Brian.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to do it the way that I'm not going to get in trouble. I don't want to wait until you see something you don't like for me to get the phone call. But I guess, and I totally understand what Chuck was saying also, and I agree with what it's saying. But my biggest concern is, and from a 501c3, some of us are, some of us aren't 501c3s. But if you, I would say if we're concerned about it being on a poster, the IGRA logo, that's not an IGRA logo, an IGRA event, do we need to take them off of our websites? Because we carry the IGRA logo on our website, even on the years that I don't have a sanctioned rodeo. And so, I mean, I'm all for doing this right, but we've got to determine what right is, because I'm not sure. I understand the need to protect ourselves against it being, against it being used in that, but how do we determine, except for what I think I'm hearing Chuck say, I don't know, I may not be hearing it right, except for exactly the way it's worded there. If we took it exactly the way it's worded, then yes, it would need to either come off our website or have permission for it. It would not be able to be on any poster that's not advertising your rodeo, or have written permission for it. And if that's the way we're going, I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. That's what our rule says. I'm totally okay with that. But I just need to know that, and we need to enforce it across the board.
Okay. We can talk a few more minutes, but it's lunchtime. You want to table this and then talk? Because I think we're going to talk a lot about it, and we do need clarification, because this is an important subject.
I just have one quick statement. The reason, and I brought this up, okay? I brought it up because I do see a lot of things out there that are not necessarily sanctioned events. And discussed this, but when we do see that, who is the person that's going to contact and advise? Because my question was, is this a board thing? Is it a trustee thing? Is that something that I reach out to that trustee vice chair to talk to the association? Is that something that should go to the board of directors, executive board? So, you know, I think we're pretty in line with what we're trying to do, which is make sure they're just the IGRA sanctioned events. Mary, you've got a challenge with a lot of your royalty stuff, and I know there's, you know, I see a lot of that as well. I'm not sure, maybe there's some gray area, there's some discussion to clarify that, but realistically, who's the enforcer is the next question.
Well, right up there it says your marketing person.
But it says IGRAs. Who is IGRAs?
I think requests should come to the secretary. It should go before the board to approve them if it's not an IGRA sanctioned event. So we've got that approval. But if we see it being used out there, who's the person that's going to give the cease and desist per se? Now maybe time's good.
We'll break for lunch and we'll bring this back up.
And there's a change. Lunch is still in the hallway, but next room down now. It's set for lunch, so you don't have to come back in here.
Do we need to make an announcement if Janet's going to take over as trustee for your records? I know that not much
Do it and follow up with something inviting to send me an email.
Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead and do it, but just follow it, send me an email.
Follow with the email. Okay. Very good.
That's what's normally done.
How much time?
Yeah.
How much time?
If we use the name of okay, I can see that. That I can see, but that as long as it's said out loud, because that is clear. That is I do. I can do that.